Hello and welcome to Man Alive. I'm your host, Shayna James, and I'm so excited to be here today with my dear friend and colleague, Shari James. And we decided that we wanted to do an episode, and this might become a series on interpreting the female mind. So Shayna James and Shari James are going to, we're not sisters, we're going to interpret the female mind for you. And we asked for some questions about, if you could ask a woman anything, or what do you hesitate to ask, or what is confusing to you that women do? And we got some great questions. And so Shari focuses on sexual performance. She's a holistic sex coach, and I do dating, relationships, intimacy, communication. And so as a team, we really cover the gamut of what most men need in their love lives. And so we're excited to be here today. We've been working with men for decades, and we're really happy to bring this to you. Shari, what are you excited about for today?
I'm excited about the questions, and I was really happy and surprised that, guys responded with questions and that they were comfortable with just putting them out there on social media.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, I think men really trust you, and they really, knew that they were going to get some good answers.
They might get some answers they don't
We'll
want to
see.
hear.
It's true.
Just
All
we'll
right.
see.
So yeah, I want to start with the age-old question. Does size matter? And in some ways, it's funny. I have a little bit of a reaction of like, oh, we shouldn't answer this question. It's too shallow or something. But then on the other hand, I have this like the depth of what comes through when we really answer this question from an honest female perspective and from a loving female perspective,
Hmm.
and from working with men as men's coaches for all of these years. So I'm excited to see what's going to come out. Do you want to take a stab at it first?
Okay. I'm not afraid to answer this one. All right. It is true that some women are size queens. That is just simply a preference, just like guys have a preference for flat chested, big boobs, big butt, no butt, right? It is a preference. And so it's definitely true that some women are size queens, but some women aren't.
Mhm.
And what else do I have here? I'm going to be really honest and say there is something aesthetically pleasing about a large, firm member,
Hmm.
right? From like an aesthetic point of view.
So in your experience, like you have that, there's like a turn on or a joy or a pleasure, or like there's something that happens for you.
Yeah, but when it comes to actual performance, I'd actually rather not. I'd rather keep it at a distance personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I actually wanted to tell a couple of things. I obviously helping men heal erectile dysfunction, at the root cause. I'm coming at this from the ED perspective,
Hmm.
but also from listening to females as well.
Yeah.
And I would say what's more important than size is firmness,
Mm.
right? Because women want to know that they're turning their guy on.
Yeah.
So when they feel that hardness, they're like, "Ooh, I'm turning him on." And when they
Uh-huh.
don't feel that, they tend to take it personally.
Right. Okay. So this is where I just have a lot of thoughts on that. Like and I'd love to hear your perspective on this too. Cause I think for me, if someone's taking something personally, that's where I would go in and work with people to be like, okay, taking something personally is not really going to create a great sex life for you. And if you're taking it personally, then you're wondering, did I do something wrong? Am I not good enough? Then you're not really present. You're not really in the moment. You're not really available for the sensuality and the sexuality and the turn on that can happen from my perspective, no matter how big you are, no matter how firm you are, right? So I love that we have slightly different perspectives on this
Hmm.
too, because um yeah, and I'm just thinking about my personal experience where I've had men be so present with me and so connected and attuned to me and so penetrating with their energy that
Hmm.
it didn't matter to me if they were hard or soft or if they were big or small. It was just like there's something energetically that happens for me. So maybe I'm one of those who is not a size queen because I relate more to that connection and energy. And does a man kind of have me versus the physicality of it?
Hmm. I hear you. And what you're saying is coming from an evolved female perspective.
Uh-huh.
I think that most women know that our sexuality is a superpower that
Yeah.
is often held over men.
Hmm.
So when you see that flaccid penis, there's actually it's like you lost a power.
So like that a woman looking at a flaccid penis would think, oh no, I lost
He,
this power. And then what?
I'm not excited by him. I gained a couple pounds. He's not into me anymore. Is he cheating? Is he gonna? I think it brings up a lot of insecurity in the woman.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
If that insecurity already lives inside of her,
Right.
that
Which insecurity lives inside all of us.
definitely that
Right. Then
flaccid.
it's like, okay, if she has done some work if she's studied Tantra, if she's explored orgasmic meditation and other ways to have sex and expand her definition of sex beyond the limited version of sex that we're given or taught or never
Mhm.
even taught and discover for ourselves, right? Then maybe she'd be one of those who's more likely to really get, oh, size doesn't matter because we can play in all of these different ways. But for a woman who's not done those things, maybe that's it. I don't know. Would you agree with that?
So you just said size doesn't matter, and from my perspective, it's true. Size doesn't matter, but on some level, firmness still does.
Hmm.
And I'm going to say that because women have an instinct, and when a man isn't getting rising to the occasion around her, I would go and my girlfriends have talked to me about this. I would go so far as to say they're labeling that man as unhealthy.
Interesting. I could see that, right? Especially the unhealthy piece. Like, oh, is there some way that his body isn't working in the way that we're told it should? And probably in a healthy way, it would be working. Though I've also supported many men who are dating later in life, like in their 40s and 50s. And it's very common for men to not get as hard for the first few times or the first, part of a relationship because there's this emotional safety that they're not sure yet. Is this safe? Are we connected? Is this going to happen? Or is this going to last? So I think that's interesting too, right? I don't know like what a typical woman's response would be. I know what I hope a woman's response would be, which would be to be able to, and I guess this is again where I go back into my wheelhouse of I would hope that two people could have that conversation and that a man would have enough self-love to love himself through that moment. And I'm curious about this with you because I think if he's beating himself up and making himself wrong and he can't really communicate and say honestly what's going on, then it's just going to get worse. And everybody's going to be in this, you know, mixed up, contracted place where sex doesn't usually happen.
Well, I think then you're dealing with two egos,
Yes.
right? Then
Yep.
then you at that point you've disconnected from the heart
Yeah.
because on some level he's going to be responding or reacting off of her reaction.
Hmm.
So if it's not compassionate, because if she's like feeling a fear of like, oh my God, I'm inadequate, like I can't get him, he's not into me anymore. Like I said,
Yeah.
gained weight, whatever the insecurity might be,
Yep.
right? So that's like a contraction in the nervous system. That's
Yep.
a reaction that's coming from a place of ego. I'm not enough. So then, right, so if she's contracted and reactive, guess what he's going to do? He's going to be contracted and reactive as well.
Right. Well, that would be his instinctual response. Do you support men? Because I feel like in my way, I support men to notice, oh, look, I'm contracting. I'm having this instinctual response. I don't have to remain in this place. I can actually, you know, bring some mindfulness. I can focus on my body awareness. I can focus on my breath. I can actually come back and be conscious in this moment. Do you work with men on that physically? I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it's women prefer that men do take the lead. I would say in and out
I
of the
think a lot
bedroom.
of men do. A lot of women do. I don't know if it's like all women, but
Yeah, so
yeah.
I just tell men that it's okay to take the lead
Hmm.
on this, and if you're kind of wonky and having some firmness issues, then it's okay to say, "Hey, you know what? My body hasn't quite caught up to how turned on I am to
I
you."
love that. I love that.
Right? Like let's relax, let's back off, like let me please you, or you
Yeah.
can definitely shift the focus.
Yes.
Obviously depends if he's had training,
Yeah.
mindfulness,
Yeah.
awareness, done the work. So that
Yeah.
certainly helps.
Well, I think
And
that's why you and I do what we do. It's because it's a
yeah,
disaster. If there's no training or there's no mindfulness or there's none of that, then it just it's like that downward spiral and all those images that you see of a heterosexual couple laying with back to back and, or one laying awake, frustrated while the other one's sleeping. And it turns into this big mess. I mean, like I can't even imagine how couples do relationships without having any communication or mindfulness training at this point.
couples are doing relationships and sexuality without even making eye contact on a daily basis. I think that would be a good place to start.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right. I mean, and then it's so interesting when I think about as I'm working on my book on a sex, right? Part of the premise is all right, we're trying to get sexy or we're trying to get passion back through date nights or lingerie or play.
Mhm.
And I find that at the root, if we're not actually being honest with each other about our likes and our dislikes and what matters to us and what is vulnerable, then like you said, we're going to be having sex, not looking at each other, we're not connected. I don't think, especially as we get older, I don't think our bodies, it's like our bodies are wiser and they're like, why would I do this if I'm not actually connected to you?
Definitely. And I want to go back to something you were mentioning earlier about how on approach in a new relationship, especially later in life, things can be a little bit wonky.
Yeah.
One of those simple pieces of advice I give for that is listen to your body,
Mm.
right? If he's not rising to the occasion, it could be that you don't feel safe yet as a man.
Yeah.
It could be that. It could be something that was going on in a past marriage where you were frequently sexually rejected.
Yeah.
So when fear comes up in that moment, that's when that performance anxiety, that thread starts. So
Yeah.
it is always better the more it's like you want to be relaxed and turned on and relaxed and turned on.
Yes,
It's
totally.
definitely a dance.
Yeah. Yeah. And in some ways, I think you can't be, I don't know, you can tell me if you disagree, but until you can actually relax, you could get turned on, but it's more of like a forced turn on, which I would imagine kind of fades quicker versus
Hmm.
if you can be relaxed and turn on and you're not trying to force anything and you're not trying to prove anything, which that's a huge one that I work on with men is I'm not trying to prove that I'm good enough or I'm sexy enough or I know my way around the bedroom well enough, right? Like any of those things that you're trying to prove, I see take away from your capacity to be intimate and connected and and to have that passion really sustained.
Well, if you're trying to prove something, then again, you're in the mind or the ego and you're not in the heart. And going back to, feeling relaxed, that's really where the heart on cascade, I call it the heart on cascade. It's
Yeah,
my own
say more
terminology.
about that.
And well, it's relax, excite, relax. So we're
Ah,
going with the arc of the nervous system response.
yep.
So if you are having performance anxiety and you're all like charged up, like then you're already in excite, like you never got the relax where the blood vessels open and
Oh,
right?
interesting. So then that cuts off your capacity to have an
Short
erection.
circuits.
Yeah, it like
Yeah.
short circuits it. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Interesting. Interesting. So, I mean, I never like to say all women are, or all men are, or all women want, or all men want. But I think there definitely are times that many women want men to lead. And I love what you said about if something is wonky, right? It's a very different experience for me as a woman if a man leads from that place versus crumbles, right? So if he's not feeling
Yes.
shame, if he's not, or if he's feeling shame, but he's okay talking about it, right? That's different too. If he's not feeling like he's going down that downward spiral of something's wrong with me and something's bad, and then pulling away, if he can actually stay there, love himself enough to be like, oh, okay, this is what my body's doing right now. So here's what I want to try, or here's how I want this to go, or here's how I want to connect with you, especially because in my definition, sex is not just penetration and it's not just genitals. It's this whole experience of pleasure and sensuality that can happen.
So when I work with a couple, so I have access to the female partner,
Yeah.
I have them do this exercise, and it's going to sound kind of insane, but I am out of the box, and
I
I
can't
guess
wait
it's
for
why
it.
I am effective. If there's throughout the process, if there's times when you can't get it up, you have to high five each other. Yeah.
I
Right?
love that.
It totally it just takes all the noise out of it because I do
Yes.
have a saying that you're not healed from something until you can laugh about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So why does it have to be like, oh my God? Because I think in guys' minds, it's like if it doesn't work once, it's never going to work
Right.
again,
Right.
right? And it is. It is going to
Well,
work again.
yeah. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off if there was more.
No, go.
I was just thinking how for women, right, our turn on rises and falls, and it's just less obvious.
Mm-hmm.
But what I find and that I work with couples is okay, so if you don't make the falling or the decrease in turn on wrong, and instead, again, we just bring more mindfulness. We get present to each other. Maybe we look into each other's eyes or breathe, or maybe one of us says, like, I'm going to touch you. And, or how do you want to be touched? Or we play some kind of game or whatever it might be, right? If we bring that kind of humor and acceptance and curiosity of, we don't even know where this is going to go, as well as, hey, we're not attached to some kind of goal. It's a little bit ridiculous. I keep recognizing, like, I mean, sure, it's great. It's great to want to orgasm or to get to that place of climax. But the fact that I think most of us have been sold this idea, like, that's good sex. If you get to that place and you have a peak moment, or 10 to 51 seconds for many people, there's extended orgasm that lasts a lot longer. But right, like, if you can let go of the goal orientation and the attachment and just start to explore in the moment, there's so much pleasure that can be had.
That's where I think a lot of couples miss out on the gray area, and
Yeah.
the gray area is erotica or sensuality,
Yes.
right? So in normal massage, like lymphatic massage, you're going through the lymph, you're bringing everything up into the heart.
Mhm.
In sensual massage, like you're pushing all the blood to the genitals,
Nice.
essentially, right? So there's a
Yeah.
gray area of like, why not give each other sensual massages? Like that's a way to shift the focus off that, performance piece. If that performance piece isn't working, it's also a great way to warm up to
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
performance piece instead of like typical foreplay.
Yeah. I love that. I was working with a teacher once. It was not just sex, it was the bigger version of tantra, and lifestyle and all of that.
Hmm.
But I remember when she was talking about sex, she said that women have 7 gates that open sequentially, one after the other, and men have 3 gates that open simultaneously. And again, I never like to say all men, all women, because there are some women who warm up really fast and who are, the hotter one in the couple, or hotter as in, faster arousal.
Hmm.
Um, but I also find, right, for whoever is the slower one to warm up, things like that are amazing. Sensual massage and different ways of touching and exploring. And
Hmm.
then it doesn't have to be focused on, oh, is he hard or not hard? And it takes some of that pressure off.
Yeah, going back to your what you were saying about warm up. So in Chinese medicine, women are ruled by the kidneys,
Mm.
which are connected to the ears, and men are ruled by the liver, which are connected to the eyes. So
Interesting.
we've got liver fire and kidneys is cold water,
Uh-huh.
right? So you do need to apply some fire to the water to get the water to steam.
Yes.
And if there's any gentleman out there who's, with a woman who's 50 or over, definitely whole body touch
Yeah.
starts to become more important as we age.
Yeah.
Hope I can say this, but there's kind of a thing that younger guys do that really annoys women, and I call
Yeah.
it nipple, nipple, pussy. It's like nipple, nipple, pussy. Okay, let's go. Right? Like
Yeah.
that's first of all, it's annoying, and second of all, it's not going to fly
Yeah.
as the years. It's going to be more about whole body touch,
Yeah. Yeah. Whole body touch and
kissing.
kissing, right? All of that. I was having a conversation with a girlfriend the other night where we were saying it's just, yeah, the physicality alone, and that takes it to the extreme, the nipple, nipple, pussy.
Hmm.
It's not enough anymore at our age in our 40s. It's like there has to be something deeper. There has to be a connection. There has to be that kind of intimacy for us, right? That may not be for all women and that may not be at all times again, but it really does change. And so knowing that if you are an older man or if you're, I think anytime after our 30s at this point, most women are not looking for just like poke at me and then suddenly I'm going to be super turned on.
Yeah, and there's always going to be exceptions to what we're saying because there are those people that you have what I call crack chemistry with.
Yeah.
For a guy, it's like that woman makes your sperm swim. It's like, whoa, right? And it's
I
nature's
love your
way
words.
of saying, we would make a great baby together. Doesn't mean you're going to have a good relationship, but you make
No,
a
does
fantastic
not.
child. Even postmenopausal on some level, your body might be saying that. It's very interesting with that chemistry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so of course, that's going to be something to factor in here.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, so we're almost out of time and we've only answered one question, but I
I
think
would
this
like to
is
tell a story.
yeah, great.
I would like to tell an honest and helpful story because I never want men to feel bad ever.
Yes, me
And I
neither.
never want men to feel like they have to live up to these expectations like they see in porn or that's talked
Ah,
about as
hallelujah.
friends. Like, so let's leave this on a beautiful healing note.
Yes.
So I will share a personal story.
Okay, thank you.
I had a lover, and the first time we were together, I was surprised to find that he was probably about the size of my pinky.
Mm,
And when I saw what was going on, I thought, let's see how this goes.
mm-hmm.
That was my initial thoughts, like, let's see how this goes. That guy stands out in one of my top three sexual experiences of
Really?
my life.
Oh my gosh. Okay, tell us more.
It's all about the grind.
Yeah.
All about the grind. So when you are smaller, definitely grind. It's that because you're just getting everything in up there and I think the other thing that's important is to be fit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like if you are smaller, you want to be able down there, you want to be able to look down and see it,
Yeah.
right? If there's
Right. You want to
anything
be able to like
blocking.
hold yourself up and move and instead of kind of
Yeah.
getting tired and, you know,
So
falling
being
over and
being fit, that man, he is the only man in my entire life, and I will say there has been a couple. No,
uh-huh,
no,
uh-huh.
he's the only man who has ever outsexed me.
Wow.
He
That is such,
actually,
I'm so grateful that you're saying this and that men can really take that to heart because, like, I mean, I think that answers our question that size doesn't really matter. And like you said, maybe there's something about firmness and health and vitality
mhm,
that women or, partners really want to experience, but that's not about the size.
not at all. So he is in the memory banks until the day I die.
Ah,
Size of my pinky.
thank you for that. Thank
So
you.
I just wanted to end on a positive note with a positive story.
That feels good. And yeah, I've
Yeah.
had similar, men of different sizes. And what really stands out to me is the men who've been able to stay with me and
Mm-hmm.
stay connected, and like that we get into this groove, or we get in sync and we can feel each other, and there's a kind of losing of our egos, right? Losing of ourselves and being so intimately connected that it can be passionate and intense, but it's also there's so much heart and love, and right, it's like the whole range of life and sensation coming together in this moment together. And it's so beautiful. And that, again, that really has nothing to do with size.
No, it does not.
Thank you so much for having this conversation and for being another woman who loves men and never wants men to feel bad. I loved when you said that.
Yeah.
So you can find Shari. Tell us how men can find you.
I think the easiest way to find me is on my website. It's obviously www.shari, Shari James.com. And
Awesome.
yeah, I think I'm on like mostly I'm on LinkedIn, and I love using LinkedIn, and then my newsletter because that's the only thing I can't get kicked off of. Oh.
Great. The doorbell's ringing.
Oh.
Awesome. All right. And my website is Shana James Coaching, and Shana is Shana. And you can find me over there. And there's lots of resources for communication and what naturally turns women on. And my TEDx talk is over there too, What a Thousand Men's Tears Reveal About the Crisis Between Men and Women. So definitely visit each of us, and we'll be back with more.
Yeah.
Thank you
And
so
and
much.
I would love to see you guys give feedback on this podcast as well
Yeah.
because we only got to one question. So like I would love to
Yeah.
see how they like this dialogue.
Me too. If you like it, we'll do more.
Yeah, let us know.
Thank you.